watching West Dakota Fox News at 9 with Anna Schleisman and meteorologist Henry Blakes. Your first news of the night starts right now on West Dakota Fox News at 9.
There were children, there were women, and all close by, and all were blown off almost. More than 100 people who were killed on the spot.
A priest recalls the horrific blast as he was presiding over services on Easter Sunday in Sri Lanka. American officials are responding strongly, saying radical Islamic terror remains a threat. Benjamin Hall reports.
Another explosion, rocking the capital of Sri Lanka on Monday, a day after almost 300 people died in a wave of coordinated suicide attacks aimed at churches and hotels. Monday's explosion came after police found more bombs in a van and tried to defuse them. The Trump administration now offering assistance to the Sri Lankan government as the investigation ramps up.
I spoke with the various government officials that we are working with Sri Lanka.
Are you worried that
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo going further, pointing out Americans are among the dead and the U.S. has a responsibility to fight terrorists around the world.
This is America's fight too, and our embassy and other parts of the U.S. government are offering all possible assistance.
Police say a local Islamic militant group is responsible for the attacks. The U.S. and other nations are now helping to determine if they had links to overseas terror groups. Meanwhile, people in the areas targeted by the bombers remain on edge, but say they're determined to stay put, despite the threat of more attacks.
We're scared. We don't know what to do anymore. More than that, we've stayed at home.
I'm seeing lives dying in front of my eyes. I saw blood. I saw people's hands, legs, and all those stuff. It is not making me angry. It is making me more and more sad.
The Sri Lankan government have said they will temporarily shut off all access to social media to stop what they call the spread of panic and mistrust as the investigation proceeds. In London, Benjamin Hall, Fox News.
North Dakota's delegation and governor are condemning the terrorist attacks. Congressman Kelly Armstrong says these were acts of pure evil. The United States must stand vigilant with our allies to combat violent Islamist extremism in all forms and across the world. Senator Kevin Cramer stated the deadly attacks on Christians worshiping on Easter Sunday remind us radical Islam still exists. This evil must be destroyed. Senator John Hoeven echoed Cramer's statement and also says we stand with the people of Sri Lanka and mourn those who lost loved ones. Governor Doug Burgum's statement included similar sentiments and urges that their attackers be swiftly brought to justice. But during a press conference today, Sri Lanka's government admitted to intelligence failure after they received several warnings of possible suicide attacks across the country. A cabinet spokesperson said, "We saw the warnings and we saw the details given." He said a report from the International Intelligence Agency sent to the government on April 4th said, quote, "Such incident will take place in this country. There will be suicide bombers and attacks in various places." Sri Lanka's Minister of Communications says he believes there was a breach and massive miscommunication.
They had all information, and I now hear even about 20 minutes before the attack, the Indian agencies have informed that that was going to happen. It's unconfirmed though.
Another memo dated April 11th and signed by Sri Lanka's Deputy Inspector General of Police warned of the attacks and asked for more security. Well, as we head into a new week, what are we facing in terms of weather here, Henry?
Nice mild weather to be precise, because we had some 60s for today. It's going to be even warmer for tomorrow, and then we're getting a little bit more daylight. Let's take a look across the region right now. Here's a look in Minot. We've got a rather clear sky for the Magic City, and in Williston, our live Williston Skywatch camera, gorgeous sunset in the horizon. Bismarck, Mandan, a bit on the mild side, but still things are nice, mild, and dry in Dickinson as we get ready to call it a day for your Monday. Right now, Dickinson, you're at 55, 54 in Minot, 57 for Williston, and 58 for Bismarck. At the moment, our wind remains out of the northeast, anywhere between 5 to 10 miles per hour, but we're starting to get more of a westerly wind across Montana and far western North Dakota. More details on that later on, but for the moment, let's take a look at your morning commute. We could have a few clouds, otherwise we'll be waking up to temperatures near 40 degrees. I'll have your complete forecast and more coming up later on.
Well, months-long fight over a proposed wind farm in Morton Township in Burleigh County is apparently over. Pure New Energy filed an appeal in February after the Burleigh County Commission denied up to 30 permits for turbines in Morton Township in January. Documents say PNE asked for it to be dismissed early last week, which was granted by a judge on Thursday. Area landowners said they'd been told that NextEra Energy purchased the rights to the project from PNE, making the residents confident the project won't move forward.
It's been a long process, and it's been very divisive, and that's been the heartache of it for a lot of us.
We're still awaiting comment from PNE and NextEra representatives. Burleigh County Commission Chairman Brian Bittner said he has no comment on the dismissal. A conference committee meeting that should have come up with a bill to consider funding the Theodore Roosevelt Presidential Library got swallowed up into a legislative fight this afternoon on a different matter. The library funding would be part of the governor's budget, but the committee deadlocked. The House members voting yes and the Senate voting no. House members then stormed out of the meeting, and no one was willing to talk to us about it. Well, it became a fight over whether the governor should be forced to take his salary. Governor Burgum was a multimillionaire in the software industry before taking office and said he would not accept any compensation for the job. But House members say he should be paid, while senators say he should be able to decline. And the House unanimously passed an occupational license reciprocity bill, allowing military spouses who are licensed in a field in another state to get a similar license in North Dakota. It now goes to the governor's desk for a signature. And Colonel Jackie Huber was promoted to Brigadier General, making her the second female general officer in North Dakota Army National Guard's history. Huber enlisted in 1989 and deployed in support of Operations Desert Shield and Desert Storm with the 191st Military Police Company in 1990. Along with advising Adjutant General on matters related to Army force structure, operations personnel, and training, she has another goal in this position.
Really what I want to be is I want to be an example that hard work, determination, gratitude, all those things you can work for and you can achieve that.
Huber was most recently the operations officer for the Joint Force Headquarters Domestic Operations Section. Insurance Commissioner John Gottfried is praising the almost unanimous legislative support and the governor's signing today of a bill establishing an invisible reinsurance pool for the individual health insurance market. Now, it would cover 75% of claims that are between $100,000 and $1 million in 2020 and 2021. A study last year also indicated that the pool would reduce premiums and provide a low-cost alternatives for healthier individuals. And Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar announced new models designed to transform primary care by paying providers for outcomes rather than services. Now, there's two general paths. One gives smaller practices a flat stream of revenue, then bonuses when patients do well. But they will be responsible for extra spending if patients end up sicker. The second also has rewards for healthier patients, but is aimed at larger practices. So if patients are sicker, they'll also pay into the system as a whole.
We will also have options for providers who want to focus on particular populations and particular serious illnesses, where there is a huge potential for better health outcomes and more savings.
Officials expect 25% of providers to join. And some startling news about Social Security. A new report reveals that retirement benefits could be tapped out by 2035. Trustees of Social Security and Medicare's annual report shows the combined trust funds for the government's two largest entitlement programs will only have enough money to pay out about 3/4 of the promised benefits. But the trustees say Congress can enact policies to keep this from happening. And Sanford Health's Great American Bike Race is on April 27th. Now, the foundation helps kids with cerebral palsy and other conditions. And now they're helping Benny Howling Wolf, who we met last year as he recovers from West Nile virus. The foundation paid for a new $7,000 wheelchair after insurance regulations denied the claim. Benny's mom, Jessica, says the foundation's support is crucial.
It's a small gift to maybe somebody, but it's a huge gift for his life and to our family.
She says his balance is improving and he's showing signs of being able to stand on his own. Lamont's Gallery of History and Art is open 4 months a year, and curators always find new items to attract both locals and visitors. But Jordan Verdadero tells us it's the residents who keep it alive.
It's locals like these who keep the Mott Gallery of History and Art alive.
All across rural America, particularly in the Great Plains, small communities are dying and disappearing, And so, you know, you just do your best to maintain and to create an interesting and prosperous place for people to live.
The gallery has a series of items ranging from local art to room displays and memorabilia from immigrant settlers.
Telling what happened to people who were originally living in this town, keeping our history alive.
And by interesting, the board is changing exhibits, adding a then and now room, and is renovating the All Faiths room.
The young kids nowadays always have this one that's just right here. They have no idea what telephones looked like in the past, or all of the things that we have on display, or how you went to school when you were in young grades, you know, or country schools. So we just want them to know what their forefathers endured or went through, or how they lived. People I even know. Philip Dunhower and his wife.
Their newest donation will be from Tom Truesdale, whose dad owned the bank where the gallery now stands. He says he donates as much as he can.
My generation saved a lot of things because we went through hard times.
All the board members of the gallery say they want to carry on their legacy.
There will come a time, as you get older, you want to find out what your past was like.
And want young people to be as interested in Mott's history as they are. In Mott, I'm Jordan Verdadero reporting for your news leader.
Well, Mott is also planning for a new walking path. The city has matched up to $7,500 in donations to make a 1.5 mile trail alongside the Cannonball River. The Visionary Committee says there's only one other trail around.
But it's along the highway. So this one will come from the school down along the river towards Main Street and then across the bridge into West Mott, where we can enjoy the beauty of the river.
Anderson says phase 1 will begin soon. When the state's agriculture industry is suffering, officials are going right to the source for help. More on that after the break.
And we've got some nice weather across the Bismarck-Mandan area. How long will it last, though? Well, stick with us. West Dakota Fox News will return in a minute.
Williams County is the fastest growing county in the nation among those with 20,000 people or more. The U.S. Census Bureau shows a population increase of nearly 58%, with 2,000 people moving to the area from 2017 to 2018. Now that alone is an increase of just under 6%. Williams County Communications Officer Lindsay Harriman says it validates what people are experiencing and seeing.
From additional housing, people moving in, the oil boom really contributed to a lot of that as well.
Harriman says a new count is important because the county is still being funded based on the 2010 population, which is 13,000 fewer than current estimates. Well, Hess Bakken Investments reported a produced water spill from a mechanical failure at a saltwater disposal site in Williams County. Health Department officials say 390 barrels leaked on Saturday, about 8 miles south of Tioga, and impacted an agricultural field. Produced water is a byproduct of oil and gas development. Well, it was announced today that the U.S. will no longer exempt any countries from sanctions for buying Iranian oil, starting May 2nd. In his official announcement this morning, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo warned that anyone doing business with Iran should err on the side of caution and that the risks outweigh any benefits. Pompeo said the imports will remain at zero until Iran stops a number of activities, including pursuing nuclear weapons, testing ballistic missiles, and sponsoring terrorism. He says the U.S. is working with oil countries to ensure market stability. Well, a tractor that failed to stop at a railroad crossing was hit by a train this morning near Hebron. Mitch Erdl was driving a tractor pulling a drill, grain cart, and 2 anhydrous ammonia tanks. He crossed the tracks and the BNSF train hit one of the tanks, throwing it into the ditch. The tank did not rupture and no one was injured. Last week, we reported that North Dakota lost 300 farms last year. And now, as the state prepares to host U.S. Ag Secretary Sonny Perdue, this week, the president of the North Dakota Farmers Union, Mark Watney, wrote an open letter to Senator John Hoeven to remind Perdue of our depressed ag economy and that net income is expected to be nearly 50% less this year and remain flat through 2027. Debt is the highest it's been since 1981. Direct loan delinquencies are the highest they've been in nearly a decade, and bankruptcies are up 93%. Watney says it's time to secure trade deals and deliver necessary support for our farmers and ranchers. Well, hopefully weather won't be yet another issue for farmers this season, Henry.
Yeah, we can always hope so, but right now we've got Nice dry conditions across the viewing area. First, I'd like to take a look at the lower 48. Any shower activity extending from Chicago into the Great Lakes and to the Texas Panhandle and in portions of New Mexico. Otherwise, a few showers along the New England states and the Pacific Northwest. No precipitation here this time around, unlike what we had over the weekend. Nice dry and a rather clear sky. That's going to continue for this evening. A few clouds pushing in tonight and tomorrow ahead of an approaching frontal system. But for the time being, our weather is going to be rather comfortable and mild for today. Bismarck topped out at 68 degrees. Lots of mid to upper 60s region round, 70 degrees in Mobridge. But for the time being in Bismarck, you are 10 degrees cooler than your daytime high. 50 degrees for Jamestown. Overall, not a bad evening. Weather is going to be nice thanks to high pressure. Kind of switching the wind a little bit in Montana. You've got more of a westerly wind for now, around 5 miles per hour. Elsewhere, we're sticking with that northeasterly wind around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Looks like it's going to be a rather nice night. Our sky is going to be mostly clear. A few clouds pushing in, especially as we start the day across the northwest and the north central region. That's where the cloud cover is going to be tomorrow. Basically along and north of the interstate. South of there, we're talking about more abundant sunshine, which will at least result in warmer temperatures. And if that weren't enough, the warm front that is going to be pushing through tomorrow is also going to help warm us up. But on top of that, we are going to be talking about a little bit of a breeze out of the west thanks to that. So wind is going to be picking up. Once it does, you'll know the warm front has pushed through your region. Temperature-wise, as we start out our Tuesday morning, we're going to be starting out mostly in the upper 30s and a few low 40s. But notice the wind already starting to pick up in the morning hours across the far west, and then gradually increasing during the mid-morning hours across the central part of the first warn viewing area. By lunchtime, noon central time, temperatures are in the mid to low to mid 60s, and then we're rising back up into the 70s for tomorrow afternoon. So once again, nice mild weather. Wish we'd have that this past weekend, but still, the weekend wasn't terrible, especially for Easter. But for tonight, the wind becoming a little more south and easterly, lows around 40, rising into at least the low to mid 70s for tomorrow with a rather sunny sky, but the clouds will be on the increase, as I mentioned, across the north. Mild again on Wednesday, low 70s are going to be in the forecast again. Thursday, nice and sunny, temperatures going down a little bit, and then we have another frontal system pushed through in time for Friday. That's when temperatures are back in the 50s. Rain chances come into play, unfortunately, over the weekend. But for right now, not expecting anything significant.
Thanks, Henry. Well, still to come, this murder suspect has been a wolf in sheep's clothing. But with new evidence, police may be onto him. Minot police arrested 2 men following gunshots over the weekend. Officers first responded to a report of gunshots late Saturday. And while there came a second report of shots fired in another part of town. 28-year-old Timothy Lewis faces 17 charges, including attempted murder, reckless endangerment, and terrorizing. Officers later arrested 26-year-old Anthony Davis after a report of a man pulling a gun on someone at an apartment complex in still another part of town. He faces several charges, including terrorizing and possession of a controlled substance with a firearm. Well, there's new evidence in a murder case in Indiana, and law enforcement thinks the suspect has been under their noses this whole time. 13-year-old Abby Williams and 14-year-old Libby German were murdered in February of 2017. Police released new audio and video evidence from one of the victims' cell phones. Police think they already interviewed the man heard and seen in this footage, and is very close by.
Directly to the killer, who may be in this room. We believe you are hiding in plain sight.
Carter said they're also looking for the driver of a vehicle abandoned near the scene on the day of the murders. The Supreme Court will decide if federal law that bans sex discrimination in the workplace protects gay and transgender employees. The Trump administration says it does not, but lower courts have been split. Today, justices said they'll hear 3 cases, including that of a funeral director who says she was fired after telling her boss she was transitioning. And President Trump filed a lawsuit against the House Oversight Committee after a subpoena was issued for the president's accounting firm to hand over 10 years' worth of his financial information. His lawyers accused House Democrats of being, quote, singularly obsessed with finding something that they can use to damage the president politically. And the Democratic-led Judiciary Committee also subpoenaed former White House counsel Don McGahn. According to the Mueller report, President Trump tried to undermine special counsel's probe by using McGahn to have Mueller fired in June of 2017. But McGahn refused. President Trump said today nobody disobeys his orders. And House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is behind these efforts. She sent a letter to her caucus members today urging them to further investigate the president and get Mueller's full report instead of start impeachment proceedings. Pelosi says it's clear he engaged in, quote, highly unethical and unscrupulous behavior at minimum. President Trump says he's not worried at all about impeachment. Well, some firefighters pick up chicks. These firefighters were helping a different kind of damsel in distress. The California Fire Department came to the rescue of some ducklings trapped in a storm drain on Saturday. The Alameda County Fire crew posted this video on social media, showing them pluck 10 ducklings from danger and place them into a box. They were then released into a nearby creek with their mother. Oh, I love stories like that, Henry.
Same here. There's the mother there just waiting for them. Yeah, weather-wise, we're looking good as we wake up Tuesday morning. We're going to be near 40 degrees. Light wind for the moment, but the wind will be picking up throughout the day from west to east. So our highs are going to be mostly in the low to mid 70s. Bit of a cool down as we get into the weekend with increasing chances for showers across the first warm viewing area. So for right now, things are looking decent. Unfortunately, with those showers, it looks like that's going to be happening over the weekend, though.
Ah, well, at least we had a good weekend this past
Yes, we did.
It was a good holiday.
It was.
All right, thanks so much, guys, and we will see you tomorrow night.